Listen up.
Yeah.
You want to like him, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. We straight gangsters over here,
Straight
man.
gangsters. Yeah, good morning. You are listening to Scout Team Sports. We're bringing it to you hot and live like we do each and every weekday. It is Thursday, November 29th, and I am one of your gracious co-hosts. I do it every morning, and you always repeat it. I should stop saying the date.
Do you really do the date every morning?
Every morning.
I just kind of zone out until I hear America.
I know.
And then,
I'm always
I wake
I
up.
just said the date, but
I apologize,
I am
Loudbeard.
one of your gracious hosts.
You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
They call me Loudbeard. And the man on the other microphone, he is the greatest patriot ever known to mankind. He is a greater patriot than Bill Belichick, the hoodie himself.
Yeah, it's your boy, Chris America, coming to you live this Friday Eve, the day before November 30th. There, see, I did it different.
Yeah, you fantastic. You nailed that out of the park.
And
I'm very impressed.
Right out of there. Way better
I'm
than
very
that
impressed.
Sam guy on the 815 that nobody knows what we're talking about.
Sam. What was that?
I don't know
all
who that
about?
was, but
Me neither.
prior
That was
to the
crazy.
show, there was live from the 815, another great show on 12 Ounce Sports. They're hating on some guy named Sam.
Must be a friend from high school or something.
Or
And
Samwise Gamgee.
It could be Samwise Gamgee. Now, I don't hear the really loud gain this morning like I normally would, but I'm hoping that there is a haunting going on our show this morning, because
gonna
every
butt in.
once in a while there is a golden ghost.
Hey, I'm just here so I won't get fined.
And that was that.
We
Thank
really
you,
need
Joy-
like a crickets drop.
I know. I'm gonna get that tomorrow, because I have a
Between-
feeling this
between-
isn't the first or the last day that will happen.
Between Anthony and I, you'd get some good use out of it. Some good mileage.
Oh, man. Well, I guess it's going to be you and I, Chris America. I have a feeling sometime in the middle of the show, he'll be like, hey, are you guys there? Hey.
All right,
Hey,
over
new phone,
under
new dad?
over under 6:22 a.m.
I'm going over. I think it's after the commercial break. He's going
Okay.
to come in after
Okay.
the commercial break like
Going
he was
way
here the
over.
whole
All right.
time. I'm going way over.
Since you're going to the commercial break, I'll say under commercial break.
Ooh, under commercial break. That's not a bad call there. For all of our listeners, thank you so much for listening to Scout Team. He's Chris America. I'm Loudbeard. Sometimes there's the Golden Ghost with us. He took the day off because he needs a rest day every once in a while. He's like the NBA players of today. You and I are like the NBA players of the 90s, like Jordan and Barkley, who never took days off. And that
Yes.
is the difference. Damn millennials. That's all I've got to say about that.
He is a millennial through and through. He did also, like a millennial, go out on a work night or a school night. He said last night on the Scout Team After Dark show, which if you can handle a little raunchiness, a little vulgarity, make sure you tune in. What are we on now? At 4 o'clock on Fridays? That's when our show comes on? Yes. So the
Yes.
replay is
4
at
to
4
5:30.
or Loudbeard. Our fans can go to scoutteamradio.com and they can listen to Scout Team on demand.
That's right. We're like the DVR of sports radio. You can just listen to us whenever. You just go to the website, scoutteamradio.com, or you can always check us out on Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts or anywhere a podcast can be found.
Yes,
also,
and if you listen to that episode, Anthony Mack, the man with the golden ghost, he went out last night with his wifey, went to a birthday party or something, but he's probably hung over right now.
Yeah, he was supposed to give us all the details this morning. You know what I mean?
When that guy goes out and they're handing out fuzzy navels,
Oh, boy, he loves himself a fuzzy navel.
man, does he go wild. I thought I heard him come on.
I don't know. He's mysterious. He is very mysterious. Well, Chris America, I guess we'll talk about some real stuff going on in the world. It is Thursday, so we love talking about football. And to me, Thursday night football has gotten good this year. We have had some great matchups. There have been some duds. But this Thursday night, we've got a Cowboys-Saints matchup. When I say this Thursday night, I mean tonight we have a Cowboys-Saints matchup. So I want to get into this matchup a little bit because I think this is going to be a good battle because it is at home for the Cowboys. That gives them a little bit of an advantage. And it is the Saints who have won 10 games in a row. So we've got a good slobber knocker ahead of us here tonight on Thursday Night Football. There's been some great action in the NBA. We can go into that and anything and everything we want to bring up. If you want to bring up a topic, if you're listening right now, make sure you hit us up on Twitter at Scout Team Radio. We would love to talk about your topics on air or read your tweet live on the air at any time. So make sure you check it out. But Chris America, this Thursday night game, I want to talk about one thing that is not really about the game itself, but the Cowboys, they have been really, really good on defense lately. And I don't know if you've had a chance to watch a lot of their games, but their linebacker, the rookie, Leighton Vander Esch, this guy is a man amongst boys, and he is fun to watch. And he has taken this Cowboys defense, which I don't believe any of us going into the season thought would have a good defense. I thought they would be maybe middle of the road, maybe a low-end defense, but he has become the anchor of this defense, and he is taking this defense to levels that it has never seen before, and that is what's helping the Cowboys have their success that they've had. So I'm looking forward to this game tonight and actually seeing the man in action, Leighton Vander Esch. I'm excited about it. What are you looking forward to about this game tonight?
Yeah, this is going to be a good matchup. And I had mentioned when they played my Panthers that the Cowboys were right there with a great defense. And you mentioned Leighton Vander Esch. That's just a great addition to Sean Lee and all the other guys they have there over there in Dallas. And it's on a Thursday night. This game is in Dallas, correct?
It is in Dallas. It's got the Jerry World home field advantage for the Cowboys.
Yes, it's not only the home field advantage, but it's a Thursday night home field advantage. Usually the home team gets a pretty decent size advantage on Thursday nights on the short week. I don't know if it's going to affect it this much since New Orleans and Dallas aren't that far apart from each other. There's not going to be that much travel involved for the Saints. So I don't know if that's going to be that big of a deal as much as it was when like Green Bay traveled to Seattle. You know, that's a lot further of a distance. But I think Dallas, if they get this win, that spells a lot of trouble for your Redskins because I think if there's anything that catapults a team into the playoffs or catapults a team into the rest of their season, it's beating a team like the Saints. It's giving you that confidence that says, if we can beat the Saints, we can beat anybody. If we can stop Drew Brees, we can stop anybody. And they take that confidence into every single game afterwards.
Well, that worked for the Bucs week 1, right?
Well, there's a big difference between beating the Saints week 1, and they did actually. They took that and they went and they beat the Philadelphia Eagles the next week. And they took it into the next week, and then reality set in. You know, I mean, it's a lot harder to sprint from week 1 to week 16 than it is to sprint from week 12 or week 13, whatever this is, to week 17.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that. Now, you're right. Thursday night's games can be a little weird. Usually it's because of travel. Usually it's because of a short week. So sometimes you don't know what you're going to get out of these teams on Thursday night. Yes, the Saints have been cruising. Yes, that offense looks like it's unstoppable, but you never quite know what you're going to get out of teams on Thursday nights. What you expect and what actually happens can be completely different, and that's what I'm kind of thinking may happen tonight. Now, I do want the Cowboys to take a loss here because that would catapult the Redskins back up being the leaders in the NFC East, at least until Sunday, and hopefully they win Sunday and they maintain it. But with it being an early game and the Cowboys going up against the juggernaut of an offense like the Saints, this is a tough matchup for the Cowboys. Now, I talked about Leighton Vander Esch, and you said Sean Lee. Sean Lee's always had these injury issues, and the defense has always been good with them on the field, and then halfway through the season he gets concussions or he breaks something or twists something or something happens with Sean Lee. This guy is the guy that's going to fill in and be the Sean Lee of the future for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I do want to bring up, we're getting to that point in the season where we know what we're seeing out of these players on the field. So I have a little hypothetical scenario for you. I was going to get the Golden Ghost involved, but he seems to have gone AWOL on us. But I wanted to see what your thoughts on this are. This is a little bit too early, but Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'm going to list off a few here that I have at the top, and I want you to tell me who you think will be the man at the end of the year, Defensive Player of the Year, and then on the flip side, we can do it with the Offensive Player of the Year, because looking at this matchup tonight, you've got Leighton Vander Esch, who has taken the Cowboys and brought them up defensively, and last year's winner, Marshawn Lattimore, who is on the Saints, brought the Saints back to being relevant again, not just because of the Saints' prolific offense, but because their defense could actually hang. That was one of the worst defenses in all of the NFL 2 years ago, and bringing in a stud on the defensive side of the ball helps out a team so much. And I think Defensive Rookie of the Year, to me, is one of those understated, like, this makes a team go, and we've got a couple guys on this list that are really helping their teams out. So I mentioned Leighton Vander Esch. He's on here. Darius Leonard, who is the linebacker for the Colts. Derwin James, FSU legend for the Chargers. Bradley Chubb for the Denver Broncos. And Denzel Ward, who is a cornerback drafted number 4 overall for the Cleveland Browns. These are the 5 guys that I've got who are the best defensive players so far out of this draft class. You watch a lot of college football. You've seen them progress to the NFL. Whether it's on this list or if you have a dark horse that you want to throw their hat in the ring, who do you think out of all these players has been the best defensive player coming out of the draft this year?
Well, I think it's got to be the Vander Esch guy, man. I mean, you made a lot of good points about how he's lifted the Dallas Cowboys defensively. He's provided that extra thing that they needed to get him out. Now, Chubb was the favorite going in, and I'm sure he's doing a lot of good things over there, but it's just, yeah, man, this Vander Esch guy is just doing a lot of work over there at Dallas. And if he somehow, let's say he gets like 3 sacks on Breeze, or at least like maybe a sack and a couple of knockdowns and a few pass breakups and like, 15 tackles, and they go on to win. The weird thing about Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, all these like Player of the Year awards is all about highlights and spotlights and like driving narratives. And so if you do that tonight, that's going to be the narrative. That's going to be all we focus on and things like that. It's kind of like Khalil Mack was pretty much predestined to be the Defensive Player of the Year from the word go because of the trade and what went on the offseason, and the spotlight was just on Khalil Mack. So Khalil Mack would not be Defensive Player of the Year if he would have just stayed quiet, played for the Raiders, did what he does for the Raiders on a losing team. He would have never been considered for Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. But because the spotlight's on Khalil Mack now, and he's doing amazing, and we're actually noticing it on a winning team, a team that's going to the playoffs, it makes it that much better. So I think that's the reason why you go with the Vander Esch guy.
All right, so I like Leighton Vander Esch, and I've got him in my top 2. I don't know if he's number 1, but he's very, very close if he is. I think I've got a tie at number 1. But there is another little-known guy out of Indianapolis, this guy Darius Leonard. He was a second-round pick, and he is a linebacker for the Colts. And we talked about the Colts being sneaky good as of late, and a lot of that is on Andrew Luck. But it's kind of like when the Colts won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning. The reason they won it that year was because the defense stepped up. Darius Leonard has been the anchor for this Indianapolis Colts defense that isn't getting enough credit. He's a second-round pick, and the Colts have not had any big Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night games to be able to spotlight their performances, so he's going under the radar. But between Darius Leonard and Leighton Vander Esch, 2 linebackers that have come in and made immediate impacts for their teams and helped bring their defenses up. I think these guys are going to be in the mix for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I do want to say Bradley Chubb, the problem there is that he's an edge rusher. And with an edge rusher, a lot of times it takes these guys 2 to 3 years to really start meeting their true potential, because that is such a tough position to come in immediately in the NFL and make an impact. At linebacker, you're seeing a lot more rookies come in and make immediate impacts. Bradley Chubb could very well be the best player out of this rookie class, but I don't think you're going to see it on the field, and I don't think you're going to see the spotlight games. He's going to be in the conversation, but I don't think he's going to be the guy because he hasn't made that immediate impact like a Leighton Vander Esch. And tonight when we watch the Cowboys and the Saints, we're going to see Leighton Vander Esch completely dominate on the defensive side of the ball. The problem is, as a linebacker, you can't cover Michael Thomas and stop the gap for Alvin Kamara, and whatever the Saints do, you can't do all of that as one guy. So the Saints are still going to put up some points, but you're going to see a pretty dominant performance by Leighton Vander Esch tonight, and I think that's going to be part of the show and part of the mystique of what we've got going on Thursday Night Football tonight.
Yeah, now we mentioned how Cowboys can win against the Saints. That would catapult them in the playoffs. That'd be a loss, a very bad loss by the Saints. Could actually plunge them into despair. Their next 3 games are the Saints, Eagles, and Colts. The Colts that you just talked about, and maybe we'll highlight that game 2 weeks from now, and we can talk about that matchup between the 2 defensive rookies that are trying to get that Rookie of the Year award. But if the Cowboys get blown out, that could totally crush their confidence, send them into despair, go and play against the defending champ Eagles the next week, and up-and-coming Colts the week after that, and they could go drop 0-3, and we'll be 3 weeks from now, we'll be talking about the Cowboys meltdown. So I'm hoping for that for you and your Redskins, or maybe just a loss tonight, and your Redskins just went out from here.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun for me. Again, like with that schedule ahead of them, Eagles, that's a division rival. Like, you are going to get a good fight up against them. Like the Colts, you're going to get a good fight. The Saints, these are good teams. So we don't know what's in store for the Cowboys, but the Cowboys are on a 3-game winning streak. They have overperformed to what I expected out of them, and they are on a hot streak right now, but they are going to face a very tough Saints team. And before I talk about the offensive Rookie of the Year, because I think that's where it's all the glitz and glamour and there's a lot of fun there, I do want to ask you, this Amari Cooper trade, we talked about it a few weeks ago, and I was not in favor of it. I thought Amari Cooper had underperformed in Oakland. He was very spotty. He wasn't there when he needed to be. And the Raiders got a first-round draft pick out of this deal. But now you look 3 weeks later, and the Cowboys have won 3 games in a row, and Amari Cooper seems to be fitting in perfectly into this Cowboys offense. Looking back at that trade, do you think the Cowboys made the right move now that we're 3-4 weeks removed by trading a first-round draft pick for Amari Cooper?
It's still tough to say. The Cowboys are winning, and we see that. What's the difference between the Cowboys then and the Cowboys now? And the obvious answer is Amari Cooper. But other than the Redskins game where he had 8 receptions, 180 yards for 2 touchdowns, he's kind of just been doing what he did at the Raiders. 6 catches, 75 yards against the Eagles, no touchdowns. And then 3 catches, 36 yards, no touchdowns against the Falcons. So I want to say, yes, it's an obvious answer, but I think the whole dynamic of the Cowboys has changed. And maybe Amari Cooper's helping in that he's taking a little bit more attention away from the defense to where other players can get the ball, and maybe Ezekiel Elliott has a little more few lanes to run in because the defense isn't stacking the box against them because they are concerned about Amari Cooper. So I think it's still too early to tell. The initial reaction is yes, Amari Cooper, he definitely makes the difference. They were losing before, they brought him in, now they're winning. So obvious answer is yes, Amari Cooper is worth the first round pick. And as the Cowboys continue to win, and we mentioned this before, if the Cowboys finish with the 20th or higher pick, then Amari Cooper is worth the trade. But if they finish 15th, 10th, or below, then it definitely wasn't worth the trade. It looks like they're going to be on the 20 and plus side of the draft if they continue to win. So, yeah, I guess it was worth it.
Well, winning fixes everything, right? It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what deficiencies you have. As long as you're winning, it looks good. If they start losing, it could be a different story, and it could be reevaluated. But I'm with you. I was down on this trade, but now that there's a little bit of winning, I'm going to be Captain Cliche this morning. It's a game of inches, and Amari Cooper has fit in, and he has come in, and he's filled a role that the Cowboys needed. It's like creating a 2,000-piece puzzle, and you're missing that one piece right in the middle, and you're like, it looks like crap
You're
because I'm
losing your-
missing one
You're
piece.
losing your damn mind. You're looking under the couch, the cushions. You're tearing
Yes.
the whole house apart because it bothered you that much.
You're like, come on! I just spent 5 hours putting together this puzzle of the ocean, and right in the middle, it looks there's not. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do, and then all of a sudden, you say, well, I could sell my puzzle that I was going to put together tomorrow, and buy just one piece to put right in the middle, and all of a sudden, it's perfect.
It's perfect.
It's perfect.
The puzzle tomorrow doesn't even matter anymore.
No, I don't even care about tomorrow's puzzle.
You'll worry
because
about tomorrow
today,
later.
It's
We
perfect.
might not even be here tomorrow.
You never know what could happen. I could wake up and a meteor could hit me in the head, and
That
I'd
would
be
be-
gone forever.
You know what? If we're all gonna go, right? Being hit in the head by a meteor, that's the way I'd want to go.
Yeah, that would be a good way to go. All right, so I talked to you about Defensive Player of the Year, but offense is where it gets sexy, right? Everybody loves the fun offensive player, and this year I'm going to give some love to the Cleveland Browns because they have drafted just right this year because Denzel Ward was in the conversation of Defensive Rookie of the Year. I've got 2 Cleveland Browns players in the conversation for Offensive Rookie of the Year, and these are the big names, the sexy names that everybody knows and everybody talks about, your fantasy players, the guys that everybody wants on their team, and I've got Saquon Barkley, Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, Phillip Lindsay, running back for the Broncos, and Calvin Ridley, wide receiver for the Falcons. Wow, this is a pretty impressive rookie class on the offensive side, and this one is a good one that we could have a lot of write-ins for. You could make an argument, even though it's a much smaller sample size, but Lamar Jackson, the last 2 games, and if he finishes the year out how he's been playing the last 2 games, he would be in this conversation. You look at some of these other guys around the league, there's a lot of quarterbacks that are starting for teams. Now, maybe not so doing as well like a Sam Darnold and a Josh Rosen and a Josh Allen. I don't know that they'd be in the conversation yet, but if they finish the season strong, these guys could have great years. So, Chris America, I'm going to hand it to you because I know you love talking fantasy football, and this will be kind of your fantasy outlet, your fantasy rookie of the year. You've got Saquon Barkley, Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, Phillip Lindsay, Calvin Ridley, or whoever you think is out there. Who are you liking as the best offensive player coming out of this draft this year?
Well, if it was the NBA, which it's not, it would be my boy Patrick Mahomes. Hands down, he'd run away with it. No questions asked. But this is not the NBA. The NFL actually says that the rookie year is your first year in the league, no matter what you do, no matter who you are. So, and I actually like that the NFL does that. I thought the NBA allowing a guy who's in his second year to win rookie of the year is just dumb. Now, if this was fantasy football, this would be Saquon Barkley's award, hands down. The guy, he's on one of my fantasy teams. He's a fantasy PPR beast. He is a beast, but this isn't fantasy. This is real world. And in real world, quarterbacks are the show. Quarterbacks always get the most talk. Quarterbacks always get the most love. And in the end, quarterbacks always get the most money. And there's one quarterback who got talked about the most. There's one quarterback who is put on a better show than the most. And there's one quarterback who, by default, because he's the first overall pick, makes the most money, and that is Baker Mayfield. I don't see how this is Baker Mayfield's award to lose at this point. If he continues to even just keep the Browns around and keep them scoring touchdowns and everything else, they're just going to hand it to him because, one, a lot of people didn't like the pick, Loudbeard. Remember how much we were told that Rosen and Darnold and Allen, that those were the prototypical,
NFL-ready
the more NFL
quarterbacks.
ready. Yeah. Have you heard anybody talk about those guys really that much?
No, they've dropped off the face of the earth.
They
Sam
really
Darnold
have.
had one good first game,
Week
even though there was a
one.
pick six. Week 1. And we talked about him a little bit, but since then, you had nothing to talk
Him
about.
and the
Absolutely
Buccaneers
nothing.
did the exact same thing after week 1. They realized that that the season is a marathon, not a sprint.
It's so
But-
true.
And I'm not saying that none of those other guys are going to be better than Baker Mayfield down the road, but as of right now, the most NFL ready quarterback is sorry, I almost said Sam Bradford, but is Baker Mayfield. Hands down. He's the one
You always
playing
bring
the
Sam
best.
Bradford into
I don't
this
know why.
conversation. Why do
Because
you
we
love
said-
him so much?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, Baker Mayfield, he God, now you've lost my concentration. He's done
Focus.
the most with the least by far.
Well, I'm going to have to agree with you with Baker, this being his award to lose, but I'm going to give you a couple other little tidbits here. One, the Cleveland Browns, they haven't won as much as they could have with the talent that they have, so they're still underachieving, but Baker is on that cusp of really taking this team to that next level. And as the season progresses, you can see him getting better and better and better. So this is his award to lose. But it is impressive that out of the 5 offensive players I mentioned and 5 defensive players that I mentioned, out of the 10 top rookies this year, 3 of them, Nick Chubb, Baker Mayfield, and Denzel Ward, are all on the Cleveland Browns. That tells me that the Cleveland Browns are moving in the right direction. They finally have a GM that is making the right moves. They've moved on from their coach, well, most of their coaching staff, Todd Haley and Hugh Jackson, moving on. So the Browns are moving in the right direction, and they're going to go as far as Baker Mayfield can take them. And I think Baker Mayfield is going to take them to great heights moving forward, and that's exciting. And Nick Chubb has been an absolute delight watching as a running back. They were so confident in him. They traded away Carlos Hyde. So between Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb, obviously a great 1-2 punch. Saquon Barkley is having a great year, but the Giants aren't winning as much, and I will say that his expectations were much higher than anybody else's. Saquon Barkley was the guy that was drafted that everybody said, he's the guy that's going to come in and he's going to make an immediate impact, and he's going to give you this. And guess what the Giants got? They got exactly what they expected out of Saquon. They didn't get any more. They didn't get any less. They're getting exactly that expectation. And sometimes exceeding expectations means more than actual output. And I think in the case of Baker Mayfield, even though he was the number 1 overall draft pick, a lot of people were down on him. A lot of them had questions and they were skeptical. The reason he went number 1 is because teams need quarterbacks. It's a quarterback-heavy league, and you can't win without a good quarterback. So Mayfield goes number 1 overall because of that, and his expectations were probably a little lower, being on a team that has trouble winning and being there at number 1 and being undersized and all this criticism that he got. He has overexceeded expectations, and that's good for him, and he is going to run away with this award. Some of the other guys I talked about, Calvin Ridley is a guy that we don't talk about that much, but he's quietly having himself a heck of a year, being a compliment to Julio Jones over in Atlanta. Being off of an Alabama squad that just churns out NFL talent, Calvin Ridley comes in, and he has himself a great year over in Atlanta. Again, that team is not winning that much. They are underperforming, and that overshadows, I think, Calvin Ridley's performance this year.
And Calvin Ridley has a lot of weeks where he did nothing. He's on one of my fantasy teams. I picked him up when he had the first couple of weeks big and put him on my starting lineup, and he kind of disappeared for a few weeks. He's starting to come back, but when you look at Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen, they're one and the same right now. They both have around 1,500 to 1,900 yards, 10 touchdowns, 11 interceptions for Josh Rosen, and Sam Darnold has 11 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. So when you look at Baker Mayfield, 2,200 yards, 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, it's not even close. Like, one guy is clearly playing above his experience level, and the other 2 guys are playing right at what you expect a rookie quarterback to play like. So the whole he's more NFL ready than Sam Bradford. God, why did I do it again? Baker Mayfield. These damn Oklahoma quarterbacks, man. They get me all mixed up. They all do. But yeah, I think Saquon Barkley is the only challenger, and I think the reason why if Barkley wins it, it'll be because he's the more versatile player. You know, he's got the 581 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns, and the 829 yards running and 8 touchdowns. But it's going to take a monumental effort the rest of the way from Saquon Barkley, I think, in order to dethrone Baker Mayfield from the Rookie of the Year. But he's trying, man. He's had 142 rushing yards and 101 rushing yards the last 2 weeks. So, did I lose you? Did you lose me? Hello? All right, so I'm not sure who's live and who's not live, so we will be back. Hello, Ladbeard.
Yeah, welcome back. You are listening to Scout Team Sports. I am one of your hosts, Loudbeard. Chris America is over there on the other microphone. We had some technical difficulties. We had the commercials rolling, but it sounds like we had some dead air, so I apologize to all the listeners out there. We will make sure that we get these kinks corrected because when you go live, you never know what to expect. It is basically the mystery of all mysteries. Sometimes a ghost comes in and haunts you. Sometimes there are just wildebeests that get into your equipment and start chewing up on wires. Whatever it is that happened to us today, we are back and we are loud and we are better than ever. And you know what? We're going to just keep rolling, and we're not going to let these technical difficulties take us out. They're not going to define us. They're not going to make us who we are. We're going to be better than that. We're going to overcome those. And Chris America will be back with us in just a second. But while he's getting signed back in and getting his studio back up and running, I do want to say that I appreciate everybody listening in. I appreciate what you do each and every morning, listening to us or downloading our podcast or whatever it is that you do, and I appreciate that. So if you want to hear us, you can check us out at 12 Ounce Sports Radio. It's on TuneIn or on the website, 12OunceSportsRadio.com. We go live every morning, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and again at 11 a.m., and that is Eastern Standard Time. And you can also, again, check us out on the podcast. We download the podcast, we upload it, or whatever you call it, and it is on demand. You can check it out on our website. Basically, after our show is done, we just throw it on there a few minutes later, and you will have access to it at any time, anyway, and that's when you can check out any of the old episodes. And Chris America, I hear that you're on. It sounds like you might be on the laptop's microphone, though, because it is loud, my friend. How are you doing? Well, I tell him to change it, and then I say, how are you doing? That was bad. That was my bad. Listeners, America, I apologize. That was my bad. I didn't mean to do that to Chris America. But check us out. Again, podcast, live radio, anywhere you want to check us out. And we get social on Twitter at Scout Team Radio or on Facebook, Instagram at Scout Team Radio. That's where you can check us out. So after that, I can get back into talking some sports. We talked quite a bit about this Thursday night football game, and it's going to be a great one. I'm looking forward to it. I love Thursday night football. We've got a great weekend ahead of us. We've got great NFL games. We've got exciting conference championship games. We've got all kinds of stuff coming up this weekend, and I am excited, and I can't wait. Absolutely can't wait till we're able to get back to just talking more football results. When it comes to Friday, we will do our preview of the weekend games, and then Monday we can... Wow. That could have been the Golden Ghost haunting us. Wow, that could have been the Golden Ghost. Come back, Golden Ghost. If you hear me, come back, Golden Ghost. I'm going to text him right now. Listeners, and I apologize. You normally have our act together a little bit better than this. But you know what? It works the way it was. It works the way it was. Let's see. All right, Golden Ghost is coming on live. Let's see. Coming back. Come back, Golden Ghost. Come back. I have a question that I teased before the break. I want to ask Chris America. I am going to ask the Golden Ghost if he can get back on also, and that is, who is the second best quarterback out of this draft class? And we have got a lot of people to pick from. A lot of them started from the very beginning. You have Josh Rosen and Josh Allen and Sam Darnold, and you have Lamar Jackson, who hasn't started the whole season, but he is coming back. He is going to be coming back. So we're going to take a quick commercial break so we can fix some of these technical difficulties and try to get these guys back on. So let's go ahead and do that for you real quick. We'll be right back.
Are you a sports fan? Do you follow the sporting news? Okay, then tell me, who won swimming national championships this year? Oh, you don't know that? How about gymnastics? Do you know who's ranked number 1 in the PGA Tour? How about who won the last major in tennis? Are there some sporting news that you're not getting? Check us out at A Sip of Sports on 12 Ounce Sports, and you will get to know all the sporting news, all in less than 30 minutes.
Hey everybody, it's your favorite Patriot, Chris America, and I want you to listen every single weekday, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and on replays from 11 a.m. to noon of Scout Team Sports. Listen, George Washington did not cross over the ocean blue in 1492 to defeat the Nazis, so you can listen to America, and I want you to listen every single weekday, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and on replays from 11 a.m. to noon of Scout Team Sports. Listen, George Washington did not cross over the ocean blue in 1492 to defeat the Nazis, so you can listen to the same tired national clickbait sports stories. So once again, tune in to us every single morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and then we replay from 11 to noon. I will see you there, and God bless America.
Well, that was a beautiful promotion there by Chris America. Once again, Scout Team Sports every weekday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and we are now having technical difficulties from both the Golden Ghost and Chris America, and Loudbeard is here doing his thing, doing it as it should be. All right. So I'm going to move on. I talked about quarterbacks, the second best quarterback, and I think it's not even close, even though he has a much smaller body of work. I think Lamar Jackson is by far the second best quarterback to come out of this draft. I am not sold on Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, or Sam Darnold, and even more so, Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen. To me, they will probably be the busts of the draft, and I think Josh Allen has potential. Let's wait and see on him. But I love what Lamar Jackson is doing over with the Baltimore Ravens. He is putting it out there with his legs. He's making the right passes when he needs to make them, and he's brought some excitement to this Baltimore Ravens team, some excitement that this team has needed, some excitement that has helped them win the last couple games and turn their season around. They started out really hot at the beginning of the season, and they have slowly faded as the season went on, and all of the sudden, Lamar Jackson comes in, and he's that spark plug. He's that spark plug that actually has taken the Baltimore Ravens and brought them back to being a relevant potential playoff team. So let's see what Lamar Jackson can do as he carries the rest of this team the rest of the season. He's starting this weekend, again, third start in a row, and Flacco could be ready to go this weekend if necessary. They're not rushing him back, and for good reason. They know that they have something good in Lamar Jackson, and I don't know if they are going to be long-term letting Lamar Jackson continue to take the reins. I do know that Flacco is an experienced quarterback, but they haven't been winning a whole lot with Flacco. Yes, he has a Super Bowl ring, but after that Super Bowl ring, if you look at their record, if you look at what Joe Flacco has done, it has not been that good. It has really just not been something that has been impressive by any means. And, you know, when you look at that, a coach John Harbaugh, the other Harbaugh, he wants to keep his job. And yes, there was hey, you're a coach that won a Super Bowl. Hey, you're a quarterback that won a Super Bowl. But after 3, 4, 5 years, all of a sudden, that new car smell wears off, and you say, well, maybe it's time to trade you in. And Lamar Jackson, he is that new car. He is got that new car smell, and he is taking this team, and he's winning. And that winning, to me, is where it is at. And you got to go with the guy that is the winner. And I think Lamar Jackson, out of this draft class, behind Baker Mayfield, is the second best quarterback to come out of this draft. And he has been taking the Ravens to much greater heights. All right, I'm going to switch gears. I have talked a lot about the NFL. We have gone over the Saints, the Cowboys, and this Thursday night matchup quite a bit. But I am going to move forward and talk a little bit about the NBA. And I have a couple little tidbits here that I want to go over and dive a little bit deeper in. But Steph Curry, he is reported as he's going to be coming back. He is going to be returning to this Warriors squad. And this Warriors team, they absolutely need Steph Curry to come back. They need him now more than ever. You know, they had a 4-game losing streak, the longest losing streak in the history of Steve Kerr coaching the Golden State Warriors. Okay, it's not like that long of a history, but still, this is a dynasty. This is one of the greatest teams ever assembled on the hard court. You have the greats of Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green and Andre Iguodala. Oh, welcome back. How are you doing today?
Ooh, it's the Golden America.
Oh, it's good to hear your voice, sir.
Yes.
I love having you back.
I don't know what happened. I disappeared. I was talking. I was spitting some fire hot takes. And then I was like, so what do you think, Loudbeard? And there was silence. And then silence. So then I logged out of the studio, logged back in, still radio silence. Then I was like, okay, fine. Let me just restart my computer. When my computer rebooted, it gave me this login error and then a whole bunch of, like, words. You know how, like, computers just spit words at you and code and everything else? You have no clue what that means? I'm like, listen, I'm not Neo. I can't break down the matrix here. Just log on my computer. So I figured it out, and I'm here.
Did it give you the binary, the 01011111
yeah,
0101
I don't know. I took a picture and sent it to you, but yeah, it's basically that. It's just basically MacBook Pro report crash, core image, core services, core IU image, core data, dispatch continuation, Colonel Alec once. I like Colonel Alec. Colonel Alec is one of my favorite colonels of all time. He led the warriors of the Patriots in the Revolutionary War, and you know what was the best part about Colonel Alec, Loudbeard?
What was the best part?
He was smart, and that's where the term smart Alec comes from. And you know what else he did? He would lock you down in the battlefield, in the trenches, kind of like the way that Kurt Angle would drop down to the mat and lock you in the ankle lock.
And if you don't understand this Kurt Angle reference, that means you need to go back and listen to Scout Team After Dark. Wow. So am I coming in kind of loud there? When I switched out of the studio, came back in, all my settings got jacked up, and I feel like I'm louder than louder.
You're a little bit loud, and you sound a little different, too.
Okay, I'm going to try to fix that. Give me just a second. You're going to have to run with it for just a second here.
I'm going to run a little bit more with that. Colonel Alec here. Colonel Alec was also a huge sports fan. He played rugby during the time. Football hadn't existed yet, so it was just rugby. He played rugby and badminton. He really loved to hit the shuttlecock over the net and score hard.
You said shuttlecock.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's a little bit better. Yeah, now my volume is back to where it was. I didn't
it sounds
when
good.
It was just me on here, I didn't want to like go in and mess with it and have dead air again, so I just kept talking, even though I was probably really loud. But I am always loud. That's why they call me Loudbeard. And I love your shuttlecock reference, and I love your smart Alec reference. But this is a sports show, damn it. You need to get yourself back into reality, and let's talk about sports. We talked a ton about NFL. I'm ready to move on from that. I wanted to bring up an NBA topic that I think you would love because you love talking about the Warriors and how they lost to LeBron James in the championship a few years back. So that's one of your favorite things to talk about. but Steph Curry is coming back this Saturday, returning for this Warriors squad with all of the issues that they have had, with KD having issues with Draymond, with them losing a little bit and just not having their mojo. Do you think that this is a huge moment for the Warriors to get Steph back, and maybe he can kind of bring back that cohesion and get this team moving back in the right direction? Do you think this is the moment?
Yeah, I mean, they've been on a winning tear ever since they lost to the Spurs. They went on that, the longest losing streak in Steve Kerr's tenure. So they went on a little winning tear against the Blazers, the Kings, and our Orlando Magic, which it's tough to beat the Magic these days. So they seem to have righted the ship. Now they're getting Steph Curry back. We'll see, man. They got a tough matchup tonight against the Toronto Raptors and Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, that's going to be a good matchup. Kawhi and the Raptors. I mean, the Raptors right now, and I haven't looked at it updated, but they had the best record in the league, and I think they still do. I'd have to double check, but they're sitting there at the top of the East, and they have had a great season. And this Raptors team, they're going to be dangerous. And this, some people are saying, could be a preview of what we're going to see in the finals. And this is a matchup that everybody wants to see. Now, not having Steph on the court tonight because he won't be back till this weekend, you're not going to get the same team, but there are so many other weapons on the Warriors that it doesn't matter. You're going to get a great matchup no matter what. And I'm excited about this matchup. And you know what's going to happen after Christmas? I hear that Boogie Cousins is gearing up to come back. So a month from now, maybe a month and a couple weeks from now, the Warriors may be back at 100% with an all-star center thrown in with their other 4 all-stars and 6th man of the year type guy all together. This could be the scariest team we've ever seen. It could have had the lowest of lows with that 4-game winning streak, and a month from now we could just be talking about how this team is unstoppable.
Yeah, and right now, you're right, it is the Toronto Raptors. They have the best record in the league, second best record in the league, Ladber. Do you know who it is?
Second best, I would have to say, is... no, I can't remember. I know it's somebody in the West. It's got to be... Who's leading the West? It's a weird team. Is it the Nuggets?
Not the Nuggets, but the L.A. Clippers.
Oh, that's right. They are having a great year.
Yeah. If you would have told me, if you would have given me 10 guesses who would be winning the West or have the second best record in the league going into December, the Clippers would not have been one of those teams.
So when you look at this is the crazy part. There's no more Blake Griffin. There's no more DeAndre Jordan. There's no more Chris Paul. That was that team that were like, the Clippers are back. All of a sudden, they are really, really good with guys that aren't maybe your household names like they've had in the past. But they have, when you look at their lineup, there are a lot of just that next tier type of guys that are on there that are all performing. And Doc Rivers, what a job this guy has done over in L.A. I mean, this is still early in the season. You may see a little bit of a dip in the Clippers' performance because it doesn't seem like they're built to be long-term that good, but this could be one of those magical runs where this is a team of destiny. Who knows?
I mean, when you have two Magic legends like Marcin Gortat and Tobias Harris, it is no mystery as to why this LA Clippers team is the second best team in the league right now.
Well, on the NBA All-Star voting, I was seeing a few articles out there where they were talking about guys that people aren't aware of that should be starting on the All-Star team, and one of them was Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris is having an All-Star caliber year. He is one of the reasons why these Clippers are going and winning so many games, and the crazy part is he was part of that Blake Griffin trade. Everybody thought, oh, Blake Griffin's going to be the superstar for the Pistons. Come to find out, Tobias Harris is going to be the superstar for the Clippers, and the season that he is having this year, he could be a starter on the All-Star team. The problem is he's not a big name. The big names will be the starters, but it will be an absolute travesty if he does not make the All-Star team this year. Tobias Harris, former Orlando Magic legend, is having a heck of a year.
He is, and I'm just looking at his career. This guy has been bounced around the league more than I don't know what else. He started out in Milwaukee, the next season went to Toronto, then went back to Milwaukee, then to Orlando, then to Toronto, back to Orlando, then to Detroit, then back to Toronto, then back to Detroit, and now he's on the Clippers.
Wow. Wow.
So, needless to say, he probably doesn't own a house. Or if he does, it's just somewhere where it's just one place, and he's just been in and out of apartments.
Maybe he owns 7 houses.
Like, he knows how to break a lease better than anybody.
Well, that NBA salary, it doesn't matter. You can own houses.
It doesn't.
You're like,
But yeah,
I can get 3 houses in each city.
Exactly. So, yes, he's having a great season, which is good for him because he has been bounced around. He's always been a good complementary player. I remember when he was on the Magic, you liked him. He was a good guy to root for. He just wasn't that all-star you were looking for. Now he's starting to turn the corner during this season, man. You're right.
Oh, man.
I thought I lost you again.
No, you didn't lose me. I'm just thinking about it. I mean, this happens every year in the NBA where a guy just comes out of nowhere and you're thinking, wow, where has he been? And he hasn't seen that success. And when you look at it, last year, a guy like Victor Oladipo, former Magic player, goes and becomes a superstar in the NBA. Is Tobias Harris going to be that next former Magic player? Another guy who is having a career year is on the Toronto Raptors this year, Serge Ibaka. He's having the best year of his career, and he is part of the reason why the Raptors are number 1 in the NBA. So all these guys, they all do better when they leave the Orlando Magic. It's kind of a tragedy, and it makes me sad.
Orlando Magic University,
it.
the best college is Orlando Magic University. We have more players than Duke, Blue Devils, UCLA, Florida Gators, Kentucky, all of them.
Louisville. That Pitino.
Louisville.
Man, it's always a good show when you have a Rick Pitino reference.
Yes, Rick Pitino and a Colonel Alec reference.
He's a smart Alec.
Hey, but we should note, you won the bet. The Golden Ghost did try to make an attempt to get on the show after the break, so you got the over, man.
Yeah, I know. He's nothing but predictable. Now, do I still win even though he never really got on the show? He just pretended like he was getting on, and then he started texting us about being drunk and going home.
Yeah, I mean, he was in studio because I remember listening because I pulled the studio up the show up on the phone to make sure that it wasn't you, it was me, and it was kind of both of us for a little while. And then I had problems with my restart of the computer, but he was there, and you were like, "Oh, Chris America this, Chris America that." I'm like, "That's not me." I'm sitting here with my computer having problems.
Well, it came in, the gain when he comes in, it like hits
It's
you like
super
a
loud.
sledgehammer. It's like, bam! The wind is just whistling through the microphone.
Well, Loudbeard, time went by like a sledgehammer, hammered us home. We out of time, bro.
Yeah, this was a weird show. I'm glad it's over.
I kind of am too. We kind of got off the rails, man. We could never get it back. Hit the outro.
Oh, wow. Where's
Yeah.
the Golden Ghost at when you need him, huh?
I don't know, man. He's
wish
usually a good filler. Ugly thrown ball.
Worst hashtag ever.